Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for episode number 2 of Michelle's Murder and Mystery at Sea. Thank you so much for the positive comments and the support you've given. So I'll just get started. Annette Mizener was a 37-year-old mother, wife, daughter, and entrepreneur that was sailing on the Carnival Pride in December of 2004. This trip was won in a raffle or a competition, just depending on the source that you read. And she was part of a large group of people that was traveling with the Las Vegas Hilton. Annette was also accompanied by her parents and her 17-year-old daughter, Danielle. They were staying in room 6169. On December 4th, the last night of the cruise, Annette didn't show up to the prearranged 10 o'clock bingo game that she had planned with her parents. Of course, this alarmed her father, and he went to look for her. He stopped at the casino first because that's where she liked to hang out, and the last known sighting of her was at 9:30. While he was there, one source says that he overheard a crew member talking about her and saying her name. Then other sources say there was an overhead page that had called her name and for her to come retrieve her purse that was found. So it said that her beaded purse, an overturned glass, scattered papers were all found at 10:10 p.m. near the railing of one of the lower decks. More alarmingly, though, scattered beads from her purse, blood droplets, and a camera with paper obscuring the view were also seen. So this is a Carnival security camera with a piece of paper over top of the lens. So this is a very obvious attempt to conceal something. According to Annette's daughter, there was a man that had been harassing Annette throughout the cruise, and despite them reporting it multiple times, nothing had been done by Carnival. So after her dad couldn't find her, she was reported missing to the ship, and they searched for hours. So 3 hours had passed, though, before they finally notified the Coast Guard, where they were told to turn around. So once they turned around, the Coast Guard, aircraft, and naval ship searched 833 square miles over 16 hours with no evidence of Annette. So there are 3 theories, but only 2 make sense to me. I'll start with the least logical, and that would be suicide. Annette and her husband were on the positive side of a stressful financial situation. So I think that they had filed bankruptcy, but were on the tail end of that, where they had found out that they were not going to lose possessions or their home. So this is a positive. They also adopted 2 children. This is a huge thing in your life. And finally, Annette and her husband had started a new business that she was super excited about. So Annette's brother, Peter Nerler, was reported as saying, quote, "She was in good spirits and there was no way she committed suicide," end quote. CruiseShipDeath.com goes on in great detail about a person of interest, which leads us into theory number 2. I'm just going to hit the highlights because there was way too much that they stated. So I'm just going to give you the overview. This person of interest, who would not allow his name to be posted, was seen at the alleged crime scene, had self-reported that he visited this scene 6 times while bringing his friends and traveling companions with him to several of these visits. At the initial visit to this scene, he said that he went out to smoke, felt something was amiss when he saw the articles on the deck, and at this same time, he saw crew member come and take a substantial amount of money out of her purse. So he goes on to say that he himself is a victim because the FBI accused him of having something to do with this. They lied about him and they labeled him as a hitman. The FBI obtained fingerprints and DNA from this person of interest. He says they cleared him because neither were a match, and he hasn't been arrested. So they either actually don't have enough evidence or they don't match. My final theory is a bit more murky, but it's certainly plausible. The person of interest that we just discussed states that he saw at debarkation Homeland Security handcuffing and taking off a crew member from the ship. So I do question this person of interest credibility, but there are a few things that make the crew member really a valid option. According to internationalcruisevictims.com, Annette was last seen talking to a crew member around 9:30 in the casino. This same crew member had been calling out the numbers at previous bingo games, and Annette had won at those games. So she was going to sit beside him, or he beside her, at this 10 o'clock bingo game that she was meeting her parents at, and he was going to be her good luck. Like Annette, he never showed up either. It said that this crew member also had changed his timeline 3 times from what he said to the FBI. So that looks suspicious as well. We have no way of knowing if this crew member that that Annette was talking to about bingo, if he is the same person that the person of interest saw Homeland Security cuff and bring off the ship. We will have no way of knowing that, but it makes me very curious if that in fact was the same person, and is there a connection? Also, if you remember, the person of interest states that he saw the crew member steal a large amount of money off of or out of the purse that was found on the deck. So, what happened to Annette? I don't know. It certainly sounds fishy, and certainly sounds like foul play. Her body was never found. No arrests were ever made, and it's still a mystery today. So my question also is, what happened to that video? Why won't Carnival and the FBI release that video, at least to her family, so it can be known, so they can have closure, so, they need this information. Because obviously a person would have to be seen going up to a camera and actually putting paper over it. Regardless of what happened to her or who did what to her, my heart just breaks for her husband, her children, biological and adopted children, her parents, and anybody else that was close to her. It's just a very sad story. Please let me know what your thoughts are, who you think did it, if you have a theory possibly that I didn't think of. I'm curious to see what you think as well. But before I leave tonight, I do want to bring up a point. It's not my intention to bring negativity to the cruise industry. I love cruising. My family loves cruising, and I will continue to cruise as long as I can in this life. However, it does bring attention to safety. I am so guilty of feeling like I am out in a bubble at sea and that no one can harm us. In fact, that is far from reality, as we see with these stories. I just want people to be aware of safety, of things around them, and if one person stays safe because of one of these stories, then that is so well worth it. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for your support. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much.